How often do we ignore the heart's intuitions, the little callings, the nudges to do something or to talk to someone? We think about doing it and then we hesitate for one reason or another, and then we start to experience this feeling of regret for not having done it, and then playing the what if game in our mind of what would have happened had I actually done it. There was a period of time where I was watching a lot of YouTube videos of ballroom dancers, and over a 6-month period I just was watching hours and hours of video online, and would kind of just imagine myself in that scenario, wondering, what if I could be a dancer, and what if finally, 6 months into this cycle, I finally booked my first lesson, and in 30 minutes, I knew I was hooked. Now that I've been dancing for half a decade now, I know there's a reason that these whispers and these heart nudges exist. I might not always know what the reason is, I just know that there is a reason that they're there. Same thing happened when I made my Let's Start videos. The first video that I actually put any effort into editing beyond just turning on the camera, talking, and then publishing. First time I threw in B-roll and visuals and stuff like that, and a voiceover, and within 2 days I knew I liked the process that I was going through of creating a video from start to finish. So I'm using this opportunity to ask myself, why is it that we hesitate on following these little heart nudges, these things that we feel called to do, but for some reason we keep hesitating on, we keep putting it on the shelf and just wondering what if, and not quite jumping in. And I realized this was actually the wrong question to be asking. The right question isn't a question at all. We don't necessarily need to understand why we are compelled to certain things, like dance or creating a video in this case, but it's important to recognize that there is a curiosity and there is a calling that is there. And from there, it's just a matter of following it and listening to it if it's something that's repeating and it feels like a genuine heart calling. I've realized that for myself, understanding isn't what's needed, experience and exploration is. I don't need to understand why creating a video is so compelling. I just need to explore it and dabble in it and see what underneath is actually the reason why I'm so compelled to this. And maybe it's just a matter of creating video that I'm actually interested in, or maybe it's storytelling, or maybe it's getting things off my chest. I don't know what it is, and I don't necessarily need to figure out the long-term vision or goal before having taken the first step. I just need to be in the process of creation and whatever else captures the attention of my heart. Whoops. Well, I guess we're going somewhere else now. Lighting options in here aren't much better, but that'll have to do. So, I should find my flow again. Unfortunately, I've been starting to experience the regret of not doing things and having a sense of stagnancy in my life. As a result, I've been losing a lot more self-confidence and a belief in myself, in my ability to do things, because I have a lot more evidence of hesitating on things and not doing things and kind of ignoring whispers or getting really close to the edge and not going all the way in than I do of having an idea and then committing to it. Or in other words, I have more evidence of hesitating than I do of living. Oftentimes I would put more energy into what others might think or how this thing I'm about to do is going to be perceived and received by others than just recognizing that it's something I want to do and then just doing it. I also have this tendency of when I want to do something, I need to get a green light from someone else before I actually start it. And green lights usually look like, hey, you would be great at this, you should do X, podcasting. Green lighting would also look like me wanting to do something, telling someone about it, and kind of wrestling with, I don't know if it's a good idea in my own words, and then having the other person say, no, you would be great at this, or this is something you might be worth doing, or others would enjoy it, or I would enjoy it from their perspective. And then, and only then, would I take action. However, if I would just recognize I wanted to do something and then just gave myself the permission to do it and then did it, I would probably be so much happier in my life because I'm living from a internal, authentic place rather than getting some sort of green light, validation, permission, approval from the outside. Even in the creation of this video, I would go on and off about it for a while on whether or not I should even pursue this whole project, this whole video, this whole desire to make a YouTube channel. See, there's that tendency to think and understand something instead of noticing the calling and then just trying the calling. That said, throughout this process, I boiled all of my reasons why and the potential benefits of starting a channel into just 7 core reasons. Number 7 is my favorite, probably the most important. The first reason is to become the director of my own life. I've been living a pretty passive life throughout this process, and with this mentality of being the director of my own life, I'll become a whole lot more proactive. I'll develop a lot more discipline. I'll develop new skill sets, and I'll develop a lot more self-confidence because I'm having the evidence of doing things and creating things than I do of thinking things and not actually doing anything. I'll build confidence because I'll need to get the shot in a lot of different scenarios, like just creating B-roll, creating these types of clips, going into very unusual situations in order to capture it. Oftentimes I'm going to be around other people. And in order for me to get the shot, I'll need to make decisions, like concrete decisions, which is a weak spot for me. I'll need to act quickly. I can't hesitate very much, especially when I might be up on a deadline or need to try and do something quickly before the opportunity is missed. And I'll have to not worry what you might think as I set up my camera, get the shot, talk to a camera by myself. I'll have to just focus on what I'm trying to create and just laser focus on that and get the shot that I need. As I start getting more shots, as I start directing my life, I'll start to amplify my own personal value, the way that I see myself, and I'll learn to recognize that my value in the room with other people is the same as those people's value in that same room. Because I have this tendency that when someone has a differing opinion or they have an idea, that somehow their idea is more right or more valuable than my own opinion or my own project, my own idea. So I might have an idea about something I need to do, starting a YouTube channel, and someone might disagree with that, think it's a waste of time, I'm not gonna subscribe to this, and that's completely fine. And I need to get myself through experiential practice into that mindset that my ideas, my avenues, my journeys is just as valid as anyone else's, and that's a current weak spot in my life. Lastly, being the director of my life will require me to see the big picture, the long-term vision that I'm heading towards, and still be able to focus on the micro, focus on the current moment, and get things done that I need to get done in order to move me towards that long-term vision, whatever it happens to be, whether it is video, whether it's dance, whether it's any other project that I'm working on. And consistent action in today is the missing link. Okay, how about a little bit different viewpoint? Reason number 2 is that I want to start documenting my journey through dance. I'm focusing a lot on West Coast swing, but I still see lots of opportunities where I can grow. And I know I will keep growing for years and years to come, but I want to be able to document the process for myself just to see my trajectory in dance, both in the actual performatory nature of dance, as well as lots of other aspects, like how I'm connecting with people, the mindsets and struggles that I'm going through and how I'm overcoming them, the experiences that I have at different events, like how I'm growing my dance community, highlighting some of the relationships that I have with other people, and more, whatever happens to come up. This will also give me lots of practice on learning to vocalize and verbalize things about my experiences, because what tends to happen is when someone asks, what have you been up to lately, or how are things going, and usually the response for myself is usually, oh, not much, not doing a whole lot, or same old kind of thing. My nature is usually to avoid deeper questions, even though it's something I strongly desire. So the more I talk about it on camera, the more I use my voice to actually say some of the things that I've been up to, will help me to learn that I won't explode if I say certain things like I'm a dancer or running these events. It'll make it easier for me to actually start verbalizing that to other people as a result of just talking to a camera and using my voice. I'm also in the process of running a group called the Fort Wayne Westies here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it's something we've been running for about 3 or 4 years, and naturally we're going to want to grow the community and help get the word out about what it is and what West Coast Swing is as it stands around the world. And this could be a great opportunity for me to learn skills and actually distribute some content that might help demonstrate to potential future dancers on what dance is, why they might like our community, or why they might not like our community compared to some others. So this will give me a lot of practice on talking about the Westies, saying what it is, saying what we're about, and just offering to people that might be interested to come hang out and check it out and start learning to dance and become one of the Westies. Alright, reason number 3. Creating a video and editing and all of that will help in the process of making me develop my self-confidence, talking to a camera and then eventually talking to other people. Learning to use my voice will help a lot in my ability to feel calm in situations, because I normally would get very much like self-conscious or others conscious and start to get into literally a fight or flight response where like my vision kind of like gets really tunnel visioned and it's not great. So the more I talk, the more I practice, the more I'll develop self-confidence, because I realize again I don't explode when I'm talking to people and or cameras. I've also been learning that posture, eye contact, how I speak, like how deeply or how slowly or quickly I speak, can play a big factor on how I feel, how self-confident I feel, and so forth. The more I record and the more I have to edit, like multiple hours per week, will literally force me to see myself on a more regular basis. So I'll be a lot more attentive to like how my posture is and like how often I'm smiling, how often I'm looking at the camera versus like looking away in thought, not looking in people's eyes, how much I'm smiling versus just like angry face and think face or think brain, and like how I'm dressing, like am I just like typical t-shirts, which is fine, it's whatever, or if I'm like allowing myself to get more dressed up and dress in the ways that feel authentic or exciting to me, as opposed to just like, alright, my camera shut off, apparently thought it was too hot. So I believe that the more I practice this, the more I'll develop the self-confidence that I'm seeking and kind of know that's in there, but I'm just not dabbling with it enough on my day-to-day. I believe, and with like more continued practice, it'll make my default communication style the calmer, slower, and speaking more authentically and honestly about things as like default on a regular basis when I'm talking with people. Like slowing down will help me to actually gather my thoughts rather than trying to fill every split second of like I'm already like panicking just thinking and speaking that way. So the more that I can practice working on posture, maintaining eye contact, and speaking very intentionally will help me to communicate more authentically and more confidently with other people. Reason number 4 is building and encouraging community. I've been drawn to growing and cultivating communities for quite a while, like both in terms of the Fort Wayne Westies as well as some online communities. In each of these groups there's been a pull towards cultivating a group around common values and goals. Leadership is not something that comes naturally to me, especially when I need to use my voice and actually talk to people face to face. I'm much better behind the scenes, like organizing things and logistics and having a vision and trying to coalesce it into something. But actually interacting with people, although it's something I want to improve at, is still something I actually struggle with. However, the limitations we face is not necessarily a reason to walk away from things, is not a reason to say this isn't for me. Sometimes that resistance we face might actually be the invitation to go further into it rather than away from it. And in this case, learning to use my voice, connect with people in a meaningful way, share my vision, stand my ground when it's being challenged, will help me to grow in that area. Through the various online and local communities and experiences that I run, I want to start cultivating kindness, authenticity, encouragement, and personal growth. And as someone that wants to become a better leader for different communities and connect better with individuals and groups, the only way to grow in leadership and connection is to lead and to connect. I have a tendency of judging myself far too harshly than I necessarily need to in the various areas that I want to grow, whether it's leadership, connection, speaking authentically, dancing, whatever happens to be. And I invite myself and others to bring a little bit more kindness and encouragement towards ourselves and our peers. We don't necessarily need to be the best leaders in the room, the best dancers in the room, the best artists, the best business people. We don't necessarily need to be the best in order to create something meaningful, do something meaningful, or benefit others in a big way or small way. It's important for me to surround myself with people that will help me grow and to be that kind of person for other people as well. Number 5 is to become an experienceographer, someone who not only captures but creates experiences, just like a photographer captures and creates his photos. I'll improve as a storyteller, a communicator, and I'll begin to find the beautiful moments in everyday life. More importantly, I'll consistently invite myself into various desired experiences throughout life, from the mundane things to the more grandiose. The goal ultimately is to live in and create meaningful experiences, and to be able to tell the stories around some of these meaningful experiences, whether they're mine or someone else's. Number 6 is a juicy one. Number 6 is for reasons unknown to me. Our bodies, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, I believe has some wisdom about our life, about who we are, about the various callings that we have, and a lot of this wisdom is embedded in the calling, and it's not something that we can just understand until we've gone through the process. There's a lot of wisdom that we may never get to experience until we experience the thing that we're called to experience. Just like we can enjoy flying on airplanes without knowing the intricacies of a 747, we also don't necessarily need to understand all the intricacies of why we are drawn to some things and not others. The mere calling is enough of an inclination to pursue something, especially if it's coming from a genuine, heartfelt place. I believe that there is some treasure harbored within some of these callings and these adventures, but knowing that there's treasure isn't enough, and even knowing where the treasure is, doing video, isn't enough. We have to actually go in and dig up the treasure and experience the things. So we have to go book that first lesson, we have to go contact that person, we have to start and finish a video. We can't capture the treasure until we've gone and tried to find and dig it up. I also believe that there will be a lot of unexpected treasure along the way, things that I can't necessarily conceive of until I'm in the experience and going through it. And last but not least, number 7, the one I probably should have started and ended with. The 7th reason I'm starting a YouTube channel and going through this process of learning to create and edit video is simply because I want to. For someone who's very socially anxious, who worries too much about the opinion of others, I feel like there has to be this list of reasons why doing this is important and valuable. And for me, that's probably not what I need to be focusing on. I need to start getting more grounded in who I am and just like learning to trust my intuition and to just step forward in the very things that I want to do. I need to be able to not judge myself for the things I'm interested in or not interested in. I need to be able to start developing this like inner confidence, this sovereignty, these aspects of trusting myself and learning that there are reasons that I am and am not interested in certain things. The simple notion that I feel curious that there is an interest here should be enough of a reason for me to just start. Like, I shouldn't have needed to create this huge long script to go through this process of like creating a why I'm creating YouTube video and just start it and like not overthink it and just like keep making videos and just keep putting them out or whatever. And if someone asks, then I can share some of my reasons why. That said, it is helpful to have a few reasons kind of thought out, like to go through basically the process of creating a written post and then turning it into video for myself, because I know I will face doubts in the future and it'll be helpful to potentially glance back at this project and see some of the reasons, and maybe one of them will spark enough of a memory that will help to push me through that discomfort of stalling or getting too in my head. So this process has now become the creation of a manifesto for myself at this current stage of why video is important, why I want to keep pursuing it, and I'm reminding myself that I want to be in the motion of creating the life I want to live, not just thinking and planning it out all the time, or overthinking whether or not I should or shouldn't or whatever for weeks on end, and then I don't actually post a video, and then, you know. So what's next? I'm intentionally withholding my future plans because I always have a tendency to know what step 2 and step 3 and step 4 is, and then never actually take step 1. And step 1 is to create something, to make something, to start, finish, edit, and publish this video. Any of the milestones and goals that I set for myself don't matter at all if I don't start and complete this video. So it's important for me to not focus too hard on what the next step is or what the future goals or future vision is until I've actually completed this project. I might have a loose vision in my head, but I don't want to get wrapped up in that vision before I've actually started, taking the actual steps that I need to take in order to move in that direction. Stephen Pressfield, a favorite author of mine, once brought a completed novel to his writing mentor at the time, and without looking up, his mentor simply said, "Good for you. Start the next one tomorrow." If you'd like to follow along or even get involved on this adventure, hit subscribe and comment below with the one thing you've felt the little whisper and call to do but are hesitating on. Let's start a conversation and offer some encouragement to one another. Thanks for watching, much love, and I'll see you next time.